A warm welcome to this week's The Leeds Business Podcast with me, Steve Twynham, and
Rudy Hayward.
The Business Podcast is in partnership with
Network B2B
and
Famous Wolf and Rhubarb Radio.
Yeah, who broadcast across the Wakefield district and South Leeds. So it's the Leeds Business Podcast. We are obviously not in the studio again this week. It's Rudy is with us, and we've also got Nick Bramley joining us today. So just say hello to you both guys. How are you?
Good.
You well, Nick?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, just getting used to the new world normal, as it were, as everybody else is. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
God, no, we look forward to talking to you in a few minutes' time. But as we do every podcast, we start off with some great social media tips from the Wolf Den. So, Rudy, the floor is yours.
Cheers, Steve. Just to start off with, just wanted to say hi to you all. Hope you all are doing well in this crazy environment right now. Obviously wanted to every week, as you know, we always share social media advice and tips. Obviously the world has completely changed since coronavirus. So what I wanted to do today is kind of share how marketing has massively turned on its head since coronavirus has hit, how that's affecting businesses and how to adapt to this current situation, to be able to still allow your business to thrive during this time. Because I think a lot of businesses out there are currently struggling with when to market, how to position themselves now with the current climate being the way it is. They're wanting to thrive and wanting to continue to promote themselves. But they're not sure how, because obviously, you know, we can't meet face to face anymore. Everything's changed online. But on top of that, I think there's an element of businesses fearing about, well, do I promote myself? Because I don't want to seem like I'm being exploity to the situation. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've just made that word up. Exploiting.
It's a good word, Rudy. It's a good word.
Exploiting the situation, basically, or too salesy during this period of time, because obviously it's really sensitive right now. And so I've put together like a presentation that basically talks through where we're at now and how things have changed, and then how to adapt to the current marketplace.
Okay.
So I'm going to share that with you now on the shared screen. But for those of you that are listening, I'm going to talk through the presentation so you'll be able to understand exactly what are in those slides. But I've also shared it on my personal LinkedIn page. So yeah, if you follow me on LinkedIn at all, you'll be able to see the presentation itself. But here goes. So I'm just about to share the screen now. So tell me if you can see that, chaps.
Yes,
yep.
We can see it.
Love the logo.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to just change the viewing so it's easier to flick through. With all traditional forms of marketing completely abandoned, obviously, due to the pandemic, where is everyone's attention? And how has this change marketing? Obviously, like I said, everybody's kind of people are unable to leave the house, obviously, so the only form of communication now is online, and the only way that we can continue to market is online. So a lot of attention has gone that way, as you'll see. Because we're online, web content and download traffic is up literally by 90% in the last few weeks, and obviously that's that's according to Virgin Media, that download traffic has gone up. But I think, would you say, Steve, that you find yourself more online now than ever before?
Yeah, I think it's fair comment. I think I'm online sort of maybe 2 or 3 times a day now, you know, really posting things and sharing content that's not my content, Rudy, as well, sharing other people's content, because I think it's valuable to get that stuff out there as well.
Absolutely.
I'm
How
the
about
same,
yourself,
Rudy,
mate?
to be fair. Yeah, I think in
Yeah.
terms of if I get my screen stats for the week, they might be quite scary in terms of whilst I use my laptop in the office, I sort of live on my mobile phone like a lot of people do. So my LinkedIn activities nearly all on the mobile rather than on the desktop. I just prefer it that way. So my screen time stats are probably roughly in line with what Virgin Media are telling us, and it can be a bit of a rabbit hole if you're not careful, but I think I agree with Steve, it's valuable to be posting and reposting and sharing content. I'm looking for positive content as well, because there's so much doom and gloom around there. There's quite a lot of positivity going on as well.
Absolutely. I think it's really important for us to stay positive during this time, just to lift spirits, because obviously, people are glued to the news right now, and it's a lot of it can be doom and gloom. So it's really good to have that break. And I actually mentioned that in this presentation as well, about giving some light relief to your consumers. Is always a great way to engage with them. So obviously we're on social media even more now, with 70% increase in time spent on Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. And there's a 76% increase in ad posts. So people have been running ad campaigns still, even more so now than previous. And I mean, I know that I've mentioned on this podcast numerous amounts of times how much social is being used, but even me as an owner of a social media agency, I'm completely shocked at how quickly it's all gone over to social. We were expecting, I actually have some stats in this presentation, because we were expecting it to take a lot longer period of time than it has for people to make that switch over to social. But it's insane.
I'm quite surprised at the ad spend already, though, Rudy. I thought, at the moment there seems to be so much uncertainty around kind of financial positions of people with furloughing and just the sort of a lot of freelance people and a lot of people who are looking for government support from self-employment. I am quite surprised at the early increase in the ads. I'm assuming those are paid ads then, Rudy, are they?
Yeah, they are paid ads. They're paid ads on social media, and a lot of that is bigger brands. Quite large brands are still advertising on social.
Yeah.
However, although it's ad spend, it's not necessarily direct selling. So it's not necessarily just because you're running ads on social doesn't necessarily mean it has to be sell, kind of a sell type of ad where you're kind of like, buy this now, this is how much we're offering, or this now, we've got this discount, come and buy from us, blah blah blah. It's not necessarily always that, and a lot of the bigger brands understand that what they should be doing is providing added valued content instead. When we're providing valued content and helpful advice, you want to get that message out to a wider audience than your current community that is already following you. And the only way to do that, especially on Facebook and Instagram, is through ad spend and putting ad spend behind it. So when it's 76% ad spend, it's not necessarily sales based ads that people are promoting. Like I said before, we're all keeping up to date with the news like never before, but obviously that's not all we're doing. On social, people are communicating more. Facebook group calls have rocketed by more than 1,000% in the last month. Also, house party group video chat apps drove 2 million downloads in 1 week to become number one in the UK. We're consuming more data as well. So Nielsen State video streaming are set to increase by at least 60% over the coming weeks. I think it's probably more likely going to end up being 90%, if I'm honest. And web content download data is up by 90% compared to 3 weeks ago. So, you know, the amount of data, the amount of info we're consuming now on social is insane. Because people have more time, people are needing to communicate, and the only way to do that is through social.
I did hear a stat, and I apologize if you're going to cover it later, saying that YouTube in Europe, because of the amount of downloads, are downgrading the quality of the video so that they can manage the sheer volume in terms of file sizes and things. So I don't know what the percentages are, but they're downgrading them from the 4K HD to the 720 just to the sheer volume of people who are accessing that content.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think it's going to make a massive a massive difference to the amount of people that will continue to share and watch content on YouTube, because in fact what has happened is it's gone up, and they've made some other adaptations as well, which I'll cover later on in the presentation. Okay. Which I think is really useful, and it shows that how much those other apps have needed to, and platforms have had to adapt to kind of to deal with the change. We're doing a ton of learning on online now. The amount of learning we're doing with our spare time online is insane. So Google searches on language learning and meditation apps are up by 100% from this time last year. So people are going on apps like Udemy and kind of learning new tricks, going on and doing new courses and new skills. People are spending a lot more time on themselves and self-development, whether that's meditation or whether that's learning a new skill or just spending time on updating yourself with industry knowledge within your own industry. So yeah,
I'll touch on that later on when I come on to my bit. When I did see the slide, though, first of all, Rudy, I thought it said mediation. I think that'll come after the lockdown.
yeah yeah, definitely.
That's interesting 100%. As well, Rudy, there, just on the meditation thing, because, on the Inspire Radio platform, we do meditations on an evening and early morning, and we've put additional ones in the afternoon now.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's definitely needed. Everybody's a little bit stressed, although they are at home. The news has its own stresses financially. People are feeling the weight of that. So being able to release some of that and get some of your own headspace is great. And I suppose meditation is where people are heading. Creating content, people are getting more creative, which is fantastic. It's great to see so many people feeling that they can get some creativity out, because so many people are so busy with their day-to-day previously, prior to coronavirus hitting, who had time to be creative. Unless you are in a creative industry like myself, you don't necessarily have time to have that creative release. And I think that also comes back to self-development as well, and having some time to yourself to do things that you want to do that's creative and that you enjoy doing. We've seen that how to make a TikTok Google searches are up by nearly 400% since the 1st of March. And my
wife's obsessed with TikTok. I don't even think she's the demographic for it, but she's a teaching assistant, so I think she's picked it up through osmosis at school, and she just loves a bit of TikTok. So
that's brilliant.
Taking over the world.
That's awesome. Well, it's funny you say that, because we've actually noticed since coronavirus hitting that there has been a massive increase in age demographic that have now jumped onto TikTok.
Yeah.
So we've noticed already that we were thinking that it's going to take at least a 5-year period for your adults and your younger adults to jump online.
Yeah.
Onto TikTok. Sorry. And in fact, we've noticed that there's been an increase of 20 to 30, up to the age of 40, that are now jumping onto TikTok.
My wife's above that one, but don't tell her I told anyone on a public platform. She's above that demographic as well, to be fair.
Oh, well, even better, because that just shows that, you know, people are embracing it. And you know, I think that brands are starting to realize that as well. So they're even starting to provide valued content on there, whether it, you know, we've noticed that a lot of retail brands have now jumped onto TikTok to be able to showcase clothing and things like that they're pushing. So and it fits with that specific demographic that is now on there, because they now have disposable income, whereas the demographic before, you know, were your young teenagers that weren't in the demographic yet to be able to have an income in the first place.
I was just going to say, all the time and no money, they're the ones that you don't really want if you TikTok, really, in some respects, are they? You want the ones who've got the time and the money, I guess.
Absolutely. And obviously, lucky for those brands, TikTok has managed to you know, pull that audience over since we've all been kind of locked down.
As you speak, Rudy, I'm just downloading TikTok. I'm going to get with it.
You're going to get on it. That's great.
I'm not sure getting with it's a phrase that would fit you in with the demographic, Steve. Getting with it's a very 70s and 80s phrase.
I'm getting down with the
kids.
Down with the kids.
Okay, well done.
So obviously a lot of the platforms are adapting massively to the situation. Instagram is one of them, who've launched co-watching, where groups can browse Instagram together through video chat. I think that's kind of a way for people to be able to still hang out and spend time together, have conversations. But, you know, there's a lot of I've noticed for myself, I'm a big fan of a comedian that's on Instagram called Mo Gilligan, and he does a lot of sketches on there. So, and I've got a lot of friends that are fans of his as well. So I suppose if you're wanting to spend time with your friends still online and be able to watch content with them, that's, you know, and have a laugh, that's a great way to be able to do that through Instagram. And it means that more people are on Instagram now as well, collectively. So, you know, if you're a company wanting to promote your services, or to be able to provide valued content, or be able to provide, I don't know, say a webinar or teaching or a coaching session that you're offering for free, you're able to tap into those groups and that marketplace. And so, you know, inevitably groups of friends could be watching your trainings or your coaching sessions via Instagram together. Snapchat have done a great service of obviously dedicating COVID news, a COVID news section in an effort to battle misinformation, because I think that with that specific on Instagram, on Snapchat, Snapchat is quite a younger audience still. And I think specifically between teens, and I think there was a lot of misinformation between teenagers going on. So Snapchat decided that they would provide, you know, actual factual news to educate that audience, so there's not misinformation floating around.
It's really important, that, though, isn't it, Rudy? I think when you think about in the early days of people's reaction and response to COVID-19, it was everything from apathy to, you know, disaster. And, you know, I think the ultimate end game is we are, you know, somewhere in between that, and it is horrific, and the numbers are getting worse. But I think information and actual accurate communication is really valid. So, you know, hats off to Snapchat for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I respect them massively for that. And you know, YouTube as well. This is one of the things that I was going to mention. So YouTube updated their YouTube learning platform, their educational resources to help families at home. Obviously, with children not being able to go to school, especially, you know, unless you're a key worker, there's a lot of homeschooling going on right now, and it can be difficult for parents to try and juggle. Now, we know for a fact that the largest majority of children now spend a hell of a lot of time on YouTube, consuming info, and the fact that YouTube have enabled this and updated it so that families can actually continue to go about their day-to-day lives, and it gives the parents a bit of a helping hand, because the kids are already used to going on YouTube anyway. So if they can continue to go on YouTube during this period of time, but use it for educational purposes rather than just for entertainment, then how brilliant is that? So, it's a massive helping hand. I know that, both my sisters are teachers, and they're worried because obviously, there's a lot of kids out there that are going to find it difficult to keep up with, learning during this time. And so for YouTube to do that, I think it's brilliant. So yeah, new Netflix as well. Although it's not new, the Netflix party extension has massively exploded. I kind of knew this was probably going to happen anyway. So
I've never heard of that, Rudy. I'd never heard of that. So you can watch your film with your friends and chat and whatever. Yeah. So as if because my daughter's at university, she's obviously home at the moment, and they were going through a box set in their communal flat. I think there's 8 of them in the flat and 6 of them watching a box set. And she said, "Oh, well, we're not going to be able to watch that until September when we get back together, when they're back in the house." So the Netflix party extension allows you to do that and continue that engagement and not feel so isolated, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely inform her about that one, because friends can watch Netflix together. You can chat during watching, so you can talk to each other.
That wouldn't be very annoying, would it? While you try to watch a box set, you just encouraging people to interrupt the box set that you're watching.
There's another major benefit as well. I can enjoy my own popcorn.
Well, yeah, exactly. You don't have to share your popcorn. You can watch it from your comfort of home and or still manage to socialize with your friends at the same time. But if you've ever prior to COVID-19, if you've ever watched films with friends, you always have that one friend that likes to comment and commentate all the way through. So I suppose you could pause it for a kind of like a halfway conversation about what's just happened. I think it's such a fantastic
I'd encourage them all to have IMDb open, so you're not asking, what did he used to be in on? Haven't I seen him somewhere? Well, what was she in? What was her last film called? Just find it yourself on IMDb and just carry on watching the film. It would annoy the hell out of me. It would annoy the hell out of me, guys.
You could so do that though, especially if you're watching Netflix online on your laptop and you've got your phone out. You could so easily just Google it, couldn't you? And just jump on IMDb and find that out.
You have to have some rules for Netflix party extension, I think.
Absolutely. Lay out the rules before you start watching. So some really good adaptations to the app there. Like I said, we're so shocked at how fast this has all moved. The world is moving digital even faster than we expected. It is an understatement. With 5 years turning into just 5 months. So, predicted digital marketing spend percentage of total ad spend worldwide, we expected it to be at we're currently at about 50.1% at the moment. We were expecting it to rise by 60.5% in 2023. That's now looking like it's going to be here in the next 5 months rather than in 2023. So
do you think it'll be maintained then, Rudy? Obviously, I'm asking you to get crystal ball out and look beyond COVID-19, but do you think that level of percentage spend on digital will be maintained?
You know what, I do, because I think that to be fair, social has this change for people to jump on social media has been a long time coming, really. You know, I've been having to educate businesses a lot on the benefits of social media and how to use it and how to utilize it correctly. You know, and educate them to understand that if it's not worked for them previously, it's not the platforms that have not worked for them, it's the people behind the platforms that have been, you know, that they've had running their social media for them. And it's the skill and the talent there that's let them down.
Content's still king, isn't it, for that? You've still got to have the right content. It doesn't matter, you know, what platforms you're on. If your content's, you know, not engaging and not eye-catching, it doesn't matter, does it?
Absolutely. And I think what this pandemic has brought to us is it's forced us into a position where we've got no other choice but to adapt. And I think that, you know, businesses are already realizing that, you know, the old way isn't necessarily needed, because they've had to embrace, you know, working from home. They've had to embrace communicating via Zoom and over conference call, and you know, sharing more information and marketing themselves on social media. And people are seeing, you know, starting to see a benefit from it when they're doing it correctly. I think there will be an element of businesses that will massively suffer and that will stick to their old ways and won't adapt. And unfortunately, those will be the businesses that fall by the wayside, and you know, we won't see them again.
But as was always the case, though, Rudy, at the end of the day, if you don't adapt to new market conditions, then, you know, you're not going to survive and thrive. Can I ask a question? Is this good news I work with lots of small, medium-sized enterprises. Some might call some people freelance, etc. Is this good news for people who work in the digital industry right now, when you're a freelancer and your world's caved in and you're not going to get any help from anyone because you haven't been going for 3 years, and, you know, you literally have your income's dropped off a cliff? If they get this right in terms of targeting people who are looking for digital skills, is this good news wrapped up in these stats then, Rudy?
Yes and no. Reason being, the largest majority of businesses that are adapting quickly and kind of embracing this are larger companies, basically larger brands,
right,
that were already understanding the value of social media and the reasons why they should be investing. You've got a very large amount of small businesses, small to medium enterprises that haven't adapted, that have kind of done a number of different things, which well, to start with, there's been small to medium enterprises that have thought to themselves, right, I've heard that we're supposed to be doing this social media thing, right? How do we do it? Right. Well, we'll just employ somebody that's, you know, employ somebody that's young, maybe somebody that's just graduated from uni, that doesn't have any experience, doesn't necessarily have to have any experience in this social media marketing malarkey, because it's a young person's game anyway.
I've seen that a lot, Rudy, where people just look and they'll employ a graduate who's got a media studies degree or something of that nature, and regrettably, they don't know what they don't know, do they, in terms of how the business world works. So they've got all the knowledge of how the platforms work, but we don't know what buttons to press when it comes to how the business world works. So I get there's a challenge there, isn't there, between that perception of it's a young person's game, let's get someone young, also balancing that with what the business community needs, really.
Yeah, I think I think there's this with the smaller to medium enterprises, because the business owners don't necessarily, they don't understand it to a level that they need to understand it. They don't value it very highly, as highly as they should do. And this is where those businesses are going to massively feel the kind of the weight. Really, it's going to cripple them, because you know I can build Legos, but I can't build a house. Do you know what I mean? And having an experienced person just because they're young and they've grown up with social media doesn't necessarily mean they know how to run social media marketing for a business. And that is the whole kind of message that I'm trying to get through to to small to medium enterprises, is that if you're going to do it, make sure that you do it properly. Don't half-heartedly do it, because you won't see the results. This isn't something that you can play at. This isn't something that you can just hire a graduate and get them to do it. You need professional help. Marketing has got to a point now, social media marketing has got to a point now where if you're going to do it, it needs to be done properly, or just don't bother doing it at all. Because you're only going to waste money, you're going to waste time, and then you're going to be turning around in less than a month and saying, this isn't working for me, social media doesn't work, when actually, in fact, it's got nothing to do with the platforms that don't work. Because if it didn't work, then large companies wouldn't be pumping millions, and I mean millions of pounds.
Well, the stats
marketing
that you're saying about the growth up to 60%, that wouldn't be anywhere near realistic if it didn't work, would it? There would be nowhere near.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's about making sure that you hire professionals. Sorry, Steve.
I think just going back to a few minutes ago as well, when we were talking about there. Now, for me, we're in the changing world. Coming back to the point, for those who are reluctant to change or not going to change, it's dire straits. So now is the time to really to innovate, really, to think about just what you do want from the future. And I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and I just said, I hope there are not people out there that suddenly think that when this is all over, they'll all just go back to doing what they've always done.
Yes.
Oh, there will be, Steve. There will be people who think that, though. That's the there'll be quite a few businesses who are just thinking, let's get through this and let's then go back. And what I would say, I work with lots of businesses. I work with high growth business programs. I work with aspirational business. I work with startups and all that kind of area. And what I would say to anyone is, this has been thrust upon us, but what an opportunity is to miss if you don't rethink. One of the things I said to somebody that resonated the other week was, if you started your business tomorrow, would it look like it looks now? And the answer from most people is, God, no, nowhere near. So what do you want it to look like when we come through the back of COVID-19, whenever that might be? Because if you want to know what it looks like at the end of COVID-19, why not work on that while we are in lockdown? Whilst you can use technology, you can set projects up with your teams while they're working remotely. And get people rethinking. So whether it is social media, whether it is brand, whether it is routes to market, whatever it might be, it's an opportunity not to be missed, isn't it? And whilst it's been thrust upon us, we've got no choice. If you go back to what you've always done, I'm not sure you'll survive very long in the new world order, whatever that might be, whenever that might be, through when we get through the back of this.
Well, I saw a great phrase recently, and as I've been doing lots of development work myself and picking books up that I've had and not read and all that kind of thing. And one of the books I was reading, it's called The Leader Who Had No Title. It's by Robin Sharma. And he's talking about changing in business and life in generally, nothing to do with COVID-19. But he's got a great phrase in there. Is that there will be people there who will see themselves as victims, and there'll be people there who see themselves as leaders. And that doesn't mean to be a leader of a CEO or of a company. It means leading yourself.
Yeah.
So you've got a choice. You can be the victim of the circumstances, or you can take this opportunity, reframe, think about where you want to be, and start leading yourself. And if you've got a team, lead a team by all means.
I'll give you a little example. And my business has been based around doing lots of training and lots of in-house consultancy. So I do lots of classroom stuff, do lots of speaking at conferences. That's all fallen off a cliff. I can't go to a classroom because nobody can join me. I can't speak at a conference. No one's allowed in the room. So what I've done over the last week and a half is I've started to create my classroom learning material into webinars, short 1 hour interactive webinars. Now, I've been thinking about doing an online academy for 2 years on sales, leadership, personal development, all those kind of areas. I would never have stopped the hamster wheel to have found the time to do that.
Yeah.
Now, the only person I'm looking at is me, giving myself an excuse not to do it. So I've got years of content. I'm just choosing which of those areas of content going to be most popular, most valuable to share in the current situation and going forward. At the end of this, I will have an online academy for sales, an online academy for leadership and management. I'd never have got there without COVID-19. I'm not saying I wanted to encourage COVID-19, but why would I not make use of that time?
Absolutely. I think the fact that you've adapted and can see that is brilliant, because the benefit of setting up that online platform now for yourself is that you can automate it, so you don't necessarily always have to be live. You can do video training sessions. You can turn that into a subscription service where people can pay a subscription to get access to those courses and those sessions, and you can promote that through you don't necessarily need to meet people face to face to promote it. You don't need to necessarily go to networking groups face to face to do that. You can do that all through social. You can do that all through online.
Well, one of my bigger clients who, the best way to describe, they're an umbrella organisation who own 15 companies in the UK, and those 15 have got lots of staff. They've asked me to put together a list of webinar content that they can roll out during the COVID-19 lockdown to their 15 times teams for personal development. So we're looking at a leadership model, we're looking at some sales stuff, we're looking at, because people are locked down and sat. And if I can do an hour or 90 minutes on interactive learning, which helps them overcome some challenges either now or when we get through the back of this, it's time well spent for them, and it's helping me to develop my content. I think it's about finding the right clients who will support you in that, because it's a win-win, isn't it? I design my content, they get the content for their teams who are sat on sort of lockdown or whatever it might be. So I think it's about identifying what do you want COVID-19 to give you, and not being the victim, but being yourself leader, really. So fair point, that, Steve. Good book recommendation as well.
Yeah, cool
100%. Just to kind of give a bit more information as well. So a global survey of 35,000 global consumers published by Kantar this week found that 92% think brands should keep advertising. So that kind of gets rid of that, debugs that kind of preconceived idea that they shouldn't be. 78% believe brands should help them in their daily lives. So again, like I said, provide valued content to help your audience, to help your consumers. 75% say brands should inform people of what they're doing, as in what they're doing, not just in their day-to-day workings of the business, but also what they're doing currently in this current climate and in this situation to keep moving and keep going. And I think that's an element of consumers wanting that transparency with their brands, transparency with the companies that they buy from and that they utilize, because transparency only delivers trust. And if you can deliver trust and kudos to your consumers by being transparent, then inevitably they're only going to continue to use you as a service or or buy your products, because they see transparency and they feel that they can trust you. So people buy from who they trust. And so I think that's kind of really instilled that evidence. And 74% think companies should not exploit the situation.
Oh, I've got a real bugbear about this. I've had 2 or 3 things sent through to me this week via LinkedIn. They're obviously done on an automated bot system, because there's no personal reference point in there, and they're completely and utterly missing the opportunity to add value. They're all basically just saying, hey, you're on lockdown. Do you want to join us on this particular learning process? It's only $199. And you're thinking to yourself, you're just missing the point, really. Give that away. Give that away. Show that your content's relevant. Show that your content is of interest, people will sign up to it, test it, and if they like it, they'll come back and buy something from you. But going straight to the $199 for an hour's training on something you don't even know who these people are, absolutely disingenuous. And I reposted from someone just in LinkedIn. I said, this has annoyed the hell out of me. And I sort of screenshotted and reposted it.
Yeah.
I got 5,500 people looking at that post over 24 hours, and every single one of them was in my corner saying, this guy has got this so wrong.
Absolutely.
And his brand will be devalued. I just hope that people remember those after the event, when COVID settled down, the people who were trying to be exploitative, the Mike Ashleys of this world trying to say that sports director is an essential service so that he could keep his 0 hours contract staff working in, unsanitary conditions and make money. I hope people remember that after the COVID-19.
Oh, they will, Nick. They will, 100%. They'll definitely remember that. And on top of that, this is people like that individual, which I won't spend too long on, but he's renowned for that type of behaviour prior to COVID-19. So it doesn't surprise me that that has been the case during COVID-19. You'll get individuals like that, but people will remember. People won't forget because people are under there's so much more togetherness since this has happened. People are wanting to work together, and the ones that aren't and that are trying to exploit the situation will be remembered. But just to quickly before and then I'll go to you, Steve, because I know that you wanted to drop something in there. I just wanted to clarify where I said 92% think brands should keep advertising. 74% think companies should not exploit the situation. Now, this is the bit that I really want people to listen to, and and to understand. When people say 92% think brands should keep advertising, that doesn't mean advertise and in a way where you're direct selling, where you're saying, "Come to me, buy now. This is our offer. We're doing this amount of." On this product or this service, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. Just because you put ad spend behind an ad on social doesn't necessarily mean it has to be sales, salesy. It doesn't have to, because if you are going to go down that salesy route, it is going to be seen as exploitation. Simple as that. If you're wanting to advertise, then there is no reason why you can't be providing valued content, giving things away for free to help people in this situation. Put ad spend behind that valued content so it reaches a wider audience. That's what it means by people think that brands should keep advertising. Keep advertising in a way where you're promoting valued content to help people. Put ad spend behind valued content. Don't sell to people during this time, because that is exploitation.
The uncertainty of financials for people don't know what the money situation is. So if people are pushing buy, and you're thinking, I don't know if my next month's mortgage is secure yet, it just completely misses the point, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it just comes across insensitive, like they're not living in the same world that you are, and it'll just disconnect you from those individuals. Whereas you providing value, people will remember that. I promise you, people will remember that. They'll remember where you've provided value, where you've built trust with them, just like they'll remember the ones that have tried to exploit the situation and tried to get a sale by pushing, buy this for £100 or buy this for £1,000.
Yeah,
it's insensitive. Sorry, Steve.
No, the question I was going to ask then, does that mean then that companies should not be charging anybody anything for anything?
As in,
well, I don't know. I was just thinking top of my head there was, that somebody put something out for a really minimum charge. Should they not even be doing that, do you think?
Can I answer that from a sales point of view? See,
yeah,
I work with sales teams, I work with businesses who are, and I help to sort of manage and direct their sales functions. And I posted something on day one of lockdown. It was a little post that said, "Stop selling and start listening." And I said, and my view is, for the first couple of weeks of lockdown, it's about, as Rudy said there, who are your audience? What can we share? What is of value? What's going to be helpful? What's going to be interesting? And I've posted every day on LinkedIn something. So whether it's an uplifting video that someone shared, or whether it's a free webinar on top 10 tips to work remotely or manage a remote team thing, and I've just post it out. There will come a time during the lockdown where whatever we are doing now becomes the new norm. And that, my personal view is, the lockdown might last till July. I'm no medical person, but if it lasts till July, at some stage we'll be able to move the dial a little bit to say, okay, we have an academy for sales training, or someone's got, let's say someone's a copywriter and they're offering their service to rewrite someone's website. At that stage, when people know a bit more about their financial certainty or uncertainty or whatever, then you can start to say to somebody, okay, we've shared a lot of content. I've demonstrated my skill set. Let's take a copywriter. I'm thinking of someone specifically at the moment who, her world's fallen apart, but she's very talented at what she does. She can't say to somebody on lockdown this week, can I rewrite your website for you? It sounds desperate. It sounds, the timing's wrong. It's disingenuous because you don't know what the circumstances are. But in a week or two's time, when that business has decided on their to-do list is rewrite my website, if she's been posting valued content, she's earned the right in my book to say, I could help you with your to-do list, with your challenge of rewriting your website. I'm credible, I'm capable, here's my evidence, would you like to work with me? And I think she can then, at that stage, charge for that. But it's about timing for me.
It's 100%, Nick. It's also, I will also say, it's also about letting people try before the experience. They're buying in, they're experiencing your service, and then they're actually, because they're trying your service by you offering value. They're then able to trust that you are who you say you are. You are offering valued content that actually works. It's building that trust and kudos first before they actually purchase from you. And also, even if you did just go down the provide value route, who's to say that those people won't just come and buy from you anyway? Because if you're providing that valued content, and I'm getting a benefit from it, and I think to myself, hold on a second, I'm getting quite a bit of benefit from this. If I wanted more, then maybe I'll just go to that person's website who's been providing me with the valued content and get in contact with them and see if there's any more that I can get. And if it costs a little bit more, then the power is in my hands to decide whether I've got the money to be able to afford it or not.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you, by providing content on a regular basis, there's a book out there which is all about, it's all oversubscribed, isn't it, where you create the momentum and wait for the people to come to you. It might take a bit longer for them to come to you at the moment because of the financial uncertainty, but if you're not providing content and providing value, they'll never come to you. So there's never been a better time or a more appropriate time for me to say to my clients, keep promoting, keep sharing, and keep adding value. The lady I want to mention is a lady called Katie Thompson, but she's called from Katie Lingo. I just give her a push, really. She's really good at what she does, and on that basis, I would hope that when people look, and she is producing content, she is sharing stuff. She's following a model that at some stage will flip and start to generate some revenue for her in this lockdown. Hopefully, anyway.
Absolutely, and you can guarantee that those people that do follow, do consumer content and then do inevitably buy from her will be loyal clients and customers, and will stay with her because she's worked on the long term rather than the short term sales, and short term sales isn't the way to run a business. It just isn't.
Reaching the converted there, Rudy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Short-term sales have never been the way, have they? Really?
No, absolutely not. No.
But even more so now. And things you've just been talking about there, really, Rudy, cover a lot of things on that slide that's on the screen now, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. So, during this period of kind of unrest, it's more important than ever for companies to keep contributing to their communities, keep talking to their customers, keep doing great things, but and don't lose your digital presence. Whatever you do, don't lose your digital presence. And the most important thing is don't just keep carrying on doing the same thing that you've always done. With this new change in online, find your way to help. And I know a lot of people out there will be thinking, well, how the hell do I do that, Rudy? This next slide, for those of you that are watching, kind of covers exactly how to do that. So here are a few tips. So firstly, connect. So ask yourself this question: does my business bring people together? Does it help connect family, friends, and small communities? 2, inform. So can we help share true information, dispel fake news, and keep people in the know? Like for instance, if you're a solicitor's firm, can you share information and dispel any fake news on certain aspects of this current situation? Law is quite an important one right now with everything that's going on in the current climate. So if there's any information you can share to help people benefit, that's seen as valued content. Support. So can we support individuals, organizations, or professions, i.e. mental health advice, or can we support essential workers like key workers? For instance, if you're a coach or a hypnotherapist, can you help with meditation? Can you help with people? Can you help people in their business during this tough time? If you're
on that one, Rudy, sorry to interrupt. On that one, I've got a client who are a really high quality design studio, and they design a lot of work around medical devices.
Brilliant.
And they have, in the last 10 days, gone from an idea to create a full face protective mask, a visor, through to getting it manufactured, laser cut, distributed to essential workers, non-medical, because for medical you have to jump through all sorts of hoops for CE marking and that, which takes time. They will get there with that, but they're producing these full face visors that are a simple design, effective against COVID-19 protection more than goggles and a mask. And what they've done in terms of that is they're making them available to anyone who says, we've got essential workers, so shop staff or whatever, who need protection. They're not making a buck out of it. They're just basically manufacturing at cost, getting them out there and distributing them. They will not only feel great about their support, but I think organizations, they can use that at future reference point to say, we are a collaborative business. We're not exploiting it. We've just seen an opportunity that we've got some skills. We've designed something. It's got a real value. Let's get it out there. 100%. Other organizations might look at it and go, how much can we make? Absolutely not. They've just gone, how do we get it manufactured? Who are we going to work with to get it out there? How do we get it packaged? How do we get it distributed? And all just done, on just covering cost of manufacture and design.
And that's brilliant. I mean, it's the same with JCB. JCB have recently jumped to start building ventilators to support the NHS, and they're not looking to make money out of it. They're literally just making it because they can. It's all fully automated, so no people needed. They're using their machinery to be able to build the ventilators.
Talk about smart technology there. You've gone from making JCB diggers to making ventilators. My favourite one I saw on the local news last night was Harrogate Gin. Harrogate Gin no longer have a market because people are not going to pubs, clubs, restaurants, so their gin sales have obviously naturally fallen off a cliff. They're now converting their distillery facilities to make hand sanitizer. And they were creating 1,000 bottles a day of hand sanitizer. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, the difference between hand sanitizer and alcohol? There's not, there's not that much in it, is there really? But and basically, what a great opportunity, and they're giving that away. They're giving the hand sanitizer away to the NHS, and you look at it and you go,
fantastic.
you know what? Afterwards, my first bottle of gin I will buy. I'll be Harrogate Gin. I'll just think, I don't. I'd just think, why not? Because good on them.
Yeah, because they've given. So it's they've given so much, and companies like that will always get that respect afterwards and for the future. And I think that's the whole reason why in this slide, I've mentioned that support, if you can offer any type of support you can during this period, then do it. And don't do it to make money. Do it because it's the right thing to do. You will be rewarded in the long run, whether you do it, and obviously, I know that you wouldn't be doing it for that reason, but inevitably, karma is a real thing. And if you're willing to give, then, the universe will provide. Teach as well. If you can't support, then can you teach? Can you help people become better versions of themselves? Can you teach them a new skill, impart them with some knowledge, or lead the way? Again, it's about providing valued content, dispelling information, and giving true information on so that people can benefit from it. And entertain, which is the one that I mentioned at the beginning. People during this time, people do get down, and to be able to scroll through your social media and the business that you would normally see being serious to provide you with some comedy or some entertainment, whether it's a little bit of comedy, a little bit of music, or a little bit of drama. Be creative with it, have a bit of fun with it. People need that right now. People need to be able to have a laugh.
My diversions, my WhatsApp groups where people are posting little video clips and photographs and memes and stuff. And my goodness, there's some really creative people out there, aren't there? Coming up. And some of them you're laughing, and some of them written near the knuckle, and you think to yourself, I shouldn't laugh, but you know what? Why not? Let's just have a laugh about it. I won't share some of them, but you look at them, you're thinking, wow, that's really creative and really interesting and funny. Lightens your day sometimes, doesn't it?
100%, and it's massively needed. Creating content isn't always about being serious. If you can brighten someone's day as well, it means that people will inevitably come back and check out your content. Even more so.
Look, Rudy, I've just been asked to do a program for another radio station, just a 1 hour program per week. Around inspiration, but I came up with a name because I just didn't want to call it inspiration. It's not right at this minute in time. So I just called it Glass Half Full. So the program is Glass Half Full on a Monday night, 1 hour, feel good music, just chill, let's have some fun, silly questions, true or falses. Let's just go with the flow for an hour.
Perfect. Great. It's what people need. They do. If you're another thing that you can do as well is provide. So do your products, services ease the strain on the everyday consumer? Can our products be delivered? Is our service relevant to self-isolating households? I know that the hospitality industry has been hit really hard. And I know that, there are still restaurants that are trying to provide food to places, and, can you deliver? Can you deliver food rather than, during this time? If people can't come to your restaurant, can you send your restaurant to them?
There's loads of community stuff on the local news, isn't there? If you watch the localized news around the UK, the bit after the main BBC sort of, they go to your region. I think there's loads of regional news where restaurants and chefs are, doing that and getting out in the community and creating, 50 meals a day for NHS staff to come home to a really good quality meal that you stick in the microwave so they know they've got some food to come back to. And you look at that and you think, I just hope that restaurant gets through this and afterwards absolutely thrives, because it's just the right thing to do, isn't it?
100%. 100%. Yeah. and you know, like we said, we've said, you know, during this podcast, the people that are willing to, the businesses that are willing to provide and willing to add value, you know, are the ones that will be remembered, and the ones that people will continue to go to and to continue to utilize their services after COVID, you know, after COVID has been and gone. So yeah, you know, so the majority of strategies, as we all know, that were, you know, strategies created before have quickly become unfit for purpose. So, you know, we know that print is no longer really a form of media. It's, you know, it's been and gone. No, it's just not. You know, people are, like I said, even the biggest form of media, which is television, people aren't watching adverts anymore. So, you know,
we live our life at times 30 on Sky, don't we? As soon as the adverts come on, times 30, times 30, times 30. And then a little game kind of hit the end of the adverts before the program starts. So I don't have to press rewind and know everybody else in the room. So
yeah.
Wow.
I can't remember last time I watched an advert.
You know how to live, Nick. You know how to live,
honestly,
play them kind of games.
Rock and roll, Steve, rock and roll.
Thing is, Nick, as well, even if they don't times 30, if they don't even attempt to times 30, the nearest thing that will be in their hand is their mobile phone. And obviously, if they're on their mobile phone, we all know they're going to be on social media. So, you know, we've our agency's consulted and worked with Channel 5 before, and also the BBC. And when we were doing that, we were kind of advising them on interaction with their television programs that were currently on with viewers, and how to interact with those individuals via social media
at the right time when you stop watching the telly.
Exactly. So, or, you know, especially with reality TV, you know, people will be watching reality TV, but they'll be also WhatsApping their friend about what they've just seen on reality TV, but then also jumping on social media to comment as well. And then for those TV programs to be on social media during the TV show airing, to be able to then communicate with what's going on the screen at that point in time, because the generation that we're in now, nobody watches one screen at one time. People are constantly multitasking, multi-screening. So yeah, and like I said, social is the answer, but how do we make the content? And you know, I think it's a case of looking at, like I said, provide added value content. If you're struggling on how to make that content, it's something that we're kind of us as a business, we're advising on at the moment, and we're trying to give free advice to businesses on how to do that. We're giving kind of half hour to an hour sessions where people can give us a call, and what we do is we question them and understand their business model and how their business works and what they provide, and then we give them content ideas on how to, you know, go about providing that content and then pushing that content out on their social media.
That's your online academy, isn't it, for that, Rudy, in that respect?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's it, guys, really. And in terms of the slideshow. So yeah, I'll just stop sharing and come back to the main screen.
Cool.
So yeah, and that's that. So I hope that's been helpful.
Really interesting, and I think I'll be honest with you, Rudy, very much on the same wavelength as I've been, accidentally or otherwise, because you know we hadn't spoken before the podcast. We'd not met apart from, you know, across the screen at sort of 5 minutes before the start. And it's nice to know that someone who's got a lot more currency in the content game than I have is on the same page as what I'm saying to my clients on the same message and around the sales and leadership and communication strategies. And I really appreciate that slideshow. I think it was really interesting and important, and validating some of the things I'm doing. But I'm quite happy to share that as widely as possible as well, because I think everybody needs to be on the same boat, on the same page, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Now, Nick, you shared some things recently on LinkedIn that I saw and shared them out for you, and about while people are working from home. Do you just want to share some things that you've been doing recently?
Yeah, one of the things that because I've got a lot of experience of working with teams, and some of those teams work in remote sort of situations. So you might have an office base with a sort of a cluster, but you've got people working remotely, so sales representatives or account managers out on the road, or it might be working in construction where someone's based in head office, but there's guys out at the sites. I've got a lot of experience of helping people to manage and lead remote workers, but there must be millions of people at the moment who are working from home for the very first time through circumstances that have been thrust upon them, and they are either leaders, managers, supervisors, or members of the working population, and someone has to take responsibility for getting the best out of that situation. Now, I've posted a sort of top 10 tips on how to manage and lead remote teams, and some of those were just things like set some expectations. What does productivity look like? It'll look very different to what it looks like if you're all sat in an office. If you're all sat in an office working alongside 10 people in a pod area, everyone knows what everyone's doing. Everyone knows what's responsible for, who's doing what, who's got to get through what workload by what time. And it's because it's regimented and structured and has been that way for, forever. Now you've got people working at home, working remotely and thinking, what does my boss expect of me? Hang on, how do I prove I've been productive? Are they checking up on me? And what I said in the little sort of webinar that I shared, and it's available on my LinkedIn profile if anyone wants to scroll down and have a look for that. Basically, I said, even before COVID-19, micromanaging never worked.
Yeah.
So for goodness sake, don't think micromanaging people remotely is going to be the answer. So if you're a control freak manager or leader, you're going to have some real challenges with letting go and building trust.
Mm-hmm.
So what I said was, every day have something of a bit of a team huddle. There's loads of technology like Zoom and Teams and loads of other Google Hangouts and things. But every morning, have a team huddle like you would do in the office. How are you doing? How's your night? What you been up to? That kind of thing. The social aspect of group working. Then set some expectations and then let people get on with it. And then every morning report back. How have you been? What have you done? What do we need to know? How can we help? And treating people as grown-ups, but also accepting the fact that their work environment is going to be very different when they've got children in the background, they've got homeschooling, they've got pets and dogs and animals, whatever. It's not going to be necessarily a 9 to 5. Somebody might work 7 o'clock in the morning till 12 at lunchtime because that works for them because of their home environment. They might have somebody that they need to be caring for, or they've got kids or whatever. Just trust that people will deliver for you. You'd be surprised how many people will. There will be some people who will see this as an opportunity for what I would call a slacker's charter, to go, right, no one's watching, but they would always slack anyway. So at the end of the day, you're better off micromanaging them anyway. Trust that 95% of your people will deliver the job for you. That was one of the elements of the webinar.
You know what, Nick? You reminded me there of a situation I had many years ago working for a company, and I was working from home between 4 factories. So I was very much, home-based. And we had a management change, and you talk about your micromanagement, and a guy came in who insisted that I no longer worked at home and that I drove from York to Carlisle to sit in the office.
Wow.
Well,
that's productive.
That's productive. And they're basically because he wanted to see me physically. That's what it's
I mean, you're a lovely guy, Steve. You're a lovely guy, Steve. I wouldn't insist on you driving to Carlisle every day to see.
Yeah.
But you know what the really crazy thing was? My office was 2 floors above him, so I never saw him anyway.
Oh, God.
But
that's a lack of trust, though, isn't it? Someone somewhere, and it's probably one person in this guy's career. I'm assuming it was a guy. It's usually,
yes, he was.
It's very much a male trait, micromanaging, much more than female in my experience. But this guy, someone has shafted him in terms of taking advantage of his, if he had a better nature, and he now doesn't trust anyone. Mm-hmm. And the reality of that productivity is ridiculous. You'd probably started work at 8 o'clock in York, as opposed to driving 2 hours to Carlisle and back. There's absolutely no point in that whatsoever. And these days have proven, given that technology, and that wouldn't have been available in those days, but that's just about, trusting people, giving them the tools to do the job and letting them get on with it. If you don't trust your staff, if you didn't trust them before COVID-19, you've got a problem anyway, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I actually, Nick, it's funny you say that, because I actually watched a clip on LinkedIn the other day. I'm a massive fan of Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk, and there was a clip of him talking to a group of people saying he will never, ever, he ate his words, because he basically said, I will never, ever have any of my companies working from home. I don't see the benefit in it. I don't see it working. And then the following clip was him going, sorry, I take it all back. I do. Obviously, sometimes I'm not always right and I'm wrong. And that's one thing I do like about that chap. He does say if he was in the wrong. And he was like, it's business has never been better. Having people work from home, and people are a lot happier, they're a lot more productive.
The bit that gets me is when someone puts the inverted commas hands in the air when they say working from home, and they put the 2 sort of inverted commas up next to the face, and they use the phrase working from home as if to imply, well, actually, we all know you're not. That says more about the person putting the 2 fingers and the air quotes up than it says about the person working from home. You know what?
Absolutely.
Don't work with that person. I was going to say something else. Don't work with that person.
Hey, no, don't. I don't want to do much editing there, Nick.
No. Sorry, Steve.
God. So you've touched on a few things already, Nick, as we've been talking over the last hour or so. But for those that are not familiar just with the work that you do, just tell us more about that, about the company and things.
Well, my company's called Impactus Group, and I'd like to say it's a clever play on words, impact on us. So it's impact us, but it's also, I've got a couple of clients in the US, so they quite like the US bit at the end. So it's probably a bit overthought, but it's Impactus Group, and we're all about inspiring performance excellence. So I work with individuals, teams, and businesses. And we do 3 things that no one cares about. So we do training, coaching, and consultancy. And I never, ever use those words, particularly around saying, we can do some training. People go, so what? We can do some consultancy. It's a word I don't like anyway. Or we can come in and do some coaching. Well, so can thousands of other people. For me, it's about looking for businesses, business owners, and individuals who want to take themselves or their business to the next step. So I am all about working with organizations who've got genuine aspiration for either growth, performance excellence, investment in their teams, that kind of stuff. The method of delivery just happens to be, one of those areas really. And I look at 4 areas of a business, and they all begin with P. So that's just accidental really. So the first thing I look at is the sort of profile of the business. What are they saying? Where do they stand? What are they trying to achieve? How do they communicate? The next one is process, because a business will say to me, I want to grow my business. And the first thing I'll look at, I'll say, right, is your business built on a platform ready for growth? The best example would be, we want to increase our sales by 100% this year. And I'll say, will your processes cope with that? What if you got a sudden spike in inquiries or orders? Would you let them down? Would that work? So I look at the process part. The third one, and the most important and the most interesting to me, is always the people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about their skills, it's about their engagement, it's about their confidence, it's about their capability, and it's about giving them the tools to be the best they can be. So that can be through one-to-one coaching, it can be through leadership, it can be through classroom training or whatever. And the last peak, naturally, is profitability. I want to impact on someone's financial performance. And I love doing what I do because I work with businesses who, in 95% of the cases, want me in there for positive reasons. I'll occasionally go into a basket case business where the basket case businesses, they've got to the stage where they've exhausted everything else that they've tried and they've gone, hey, Nick, I've heard that you can help us with. And then you go in there, you're thinking, whoa, miracles take longer. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
But, the business is in a bit of a state to start with. So, it's that kind of thing. So I'm very hands-on. So before the COVID-19 sort of lockdown, I was working with clients in the Wirral on a regular basis, Cardiff on a regular basis. I work all over the UK. I run some programs with a number of universities and high growth business programs where I'm delivering classroom content for startups or high growth businesses. And it's really varied and active and sort of energized. And then bang, 2 weeks ago, it was like, okay, you're working on your own from home now, so let's see how that goes. Yeah.
But the key thing is that you've already touched on earlier on just how you've sort of taken the situation that we're in and thought about how you're working and your future. I suggest the future ways that you work will be very much different maybe to what you're doing now.
I think the balance between face-to-face going forward and classroom, certainly the classroom stuff, I think will continue to be an element of what I deliver because I enjoy the interaction with the people in the classroom. But I also believe that a percentage-wise of my revenues are definitely going to come from an online academy, as Rudy alluded to earlier, sharing content in a platform that allows people to access it whenever they want to access it through whatever method and means that they want to do. And I'd never have got there without COVID-19 shutdown because I'd never had the time. I'm a busy guy, and I'm not busy because I'm more important than anybody else. So I was on the hamster wheel of just delivering, boom,
100%.
boom, boom. My wife would say to me, where are you this week? I said, I don't know. Let me check my diary, and I could be in the Wirral for 2 days and driving down to Cardiff and then coming across to Birmingham on the way back, and I'll see you on Friday. Now it's like, oh, you're in again.
Rudy, you were going to say something before I interrupted.
Yeah, no, it was just because you mentioned that you help businesses where you've looked at whether they can handle an increase in business because they're wanting to make more money, but you look at their internal first to see if they can actually handle it.
Yeah,
and that's so refreshing because there's been 2 occasions where we've worked with businesses, which I won't mention, obviously. We've worked with businesses where we've delivered them. I think they weren't expecting the amount of results that we ended up delivering them on.
Yeah.
And we delivered them large numbers of leads, and then they couldn't manage the leads. They couldn't manage the conversions.
That to me, because my background, I'm a sales professional by nature, but that's criminal to me, simply because the work has been done to do the hard bit, which is generating enquiries, generating interest. That's the hardest part of the sales cycle. So you've done the hard bit, you've got them all, somebody saying, hey, look, let's have a listen to this. Let's have a look at your product. Let's have a look at your service. And they're going, oh, yeah, we really can't handle that. We can't get back to you. The systems are, we've got a queue on the system. One of my associates, a lady called Marianne Smith, she runs a thing called Mapping and Maximizing Your Customer Experience. 6 steps. And the first one she looks at how you handle inbound inquiries. So you might have an inbound inquiry that goes to an answering machine that's got no message on it. What the hell is that about? Or press 1 for oblivion, press 2 for someone who's not, two for someone who's not qualified, 3 for someone who couldn't care less, 4 to go into a loop. And she looks at the customer experience, but from a sales and a marketing point of view, and it's a really simple process. But when she goes into a business, sometimes from a recommendation I've made as part of the process piece, I'll say to her, absolutely drill down and see if they're ready. And the amount of businesses who are not ready for growth because they think it's all about sales or lead generation. Well, it is, but only if you can cope with it. So I get I get a real buzz when I help businesses to go, that light bulb moment. You'll do light bulbs all day long, Rudy. When your customer's got a light bulb. I love a light bulb moment. Yeah,
it's a good feeling, isn't it? Absolutely.
It
100%.
is.
But I definitely think that I'm going to coin one of Steve's phrases here. I think there needs to be, after this, there needs to be a cappuccino moment where we have a catch up, Nick, because it's I've by doing this is going to sound really strange now, but by doing the job of what they've employed me to do, my agency to do in the first place, I then lost work because I provided them with leads for them to be able to handle, and then they've had to go, we're not ready for you. So we definitely need to have a conversation.
So it's your fault that they were too successful, then couldn't handle the success.
Exactly. I kicked myself in my own foot. So it's just like, so it's cappuccino awaits
when we finish, Rudy. No problem at all.
Cool, mate. 100%. Okay. So, guys, is there anything else that you think we need to cover today? We've covered a fair bit in this podcast.
Thanks, been excellent. Really enjoyed Rudy's sort of presentation, the interaction there, and thank you for giving me a chance to explain a little bit about what we do. And I'll keep posting stuff on LinkedIn, keep sharing things. I'm a bit of a top tips kind of guy. I think my default mode, it's probably easier for me, is top 10 tips on whatever it might be, and I quite like that because I think people get it. They know there's 10. They're going to read them. They're going to interact with them. If that becomes what I am, I don't care. If that's what I stand for. Top 10 tips on things. I'll make that my online content brand, really.
Yeah, go for it, because I've just got this thing in my head now. Press 1 for oblivion. I just love that.
Yeah, honestly, that's my favourite one. Press 1 for oblivion. My second one, press 2 for someone who doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, look, we're about the end then at this week's this Leeds Business Podcast. We'll be back again. One day we will be back in the studio, no doubt, Rudy. But for the meantime, we're cooking on gas doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and we'll continue with the podcast via Zoom. We'll obviously still be recording this via video and then placing it online for you to be able to watch. So that'll be live on YouTube at some point next week, and the podcast will also be accessible on Spotify and also podcast Apple Podcast as well. And I'll also be sharing it across the social media pages, across Leeds Business Podcast social media pages as well. So keep an eye out for that. It's been amazing to have you on, Nick. Thank you for coming on and giving us insight into what you do. It's been great to see that, there are people out there like yourselves that are switched on with how, businesses should be moving forward in this point in time. So any businesses out there that are listening to today's podcast, how can they get in contact with you, Nick?
If they look on my LinkedIn profile, just Nick Bramley, or if they want to look for impactus-group.com, and my email address is nick@impactus-group.com. But if you put Nick Bramley into LinkedIn, I'm just ahead of a plumber or a tiling guy from Warrington with the same name. So don't mistake the two of us.
Awesome. What a great way to finish. Yeah. Thanks to you, Rudy. Thanks to you, Nick.
Cheers, guys.
We'll be back very soon. Have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.